I would like to thank the Fondation de la Maison de la Chimie in Paris and the Science History Institute in Philadelphia for honoring me with the 2022 Franklin-Lavoisier Prize, which recognizes contributions to our chemical heritage and relations between the chemistry communities of the United States and France. It is humbling to receive an award in the illustrious names of scientists Benjamin Franklin and Antoine Lavoisier. I am deeply indebted to Professor Jeffrey Seaman for nominating me for this prize. In addition, I would like to thank Professor Emeritus Henri Cagon, Professor Pedro Cintas, and the late Professor Emeritus Kurt Mislow for their support of my nomination. I would also like to give my profuse thanks to the jury of the selection committee. I would now like to speak about the Frenchman Louis Pasteur, one of the greatest scientists of all time. Pasteur is widely recognized as the biologist who created the rabies vaccine and made other highly important contributions to medicine. Discoveries made by Pasteur in microbiology and infectious diseases have been of great benefit in a diverse range of fields, including human health, veterinary medicine, and agriculture. It is less well known, however, that Pasteur was actually trained as a chemist and made one of the most important discoveries in chemistry, that of molecular chirality. During my career, I focused on Pasteur's work as a chemist. My ability to read Pasteur's work in French was essential since little of his chemistry work has been translated into English. I have published many articles on Pasteur, the chemist, in scientific journals in the US, France, and other countries. I have also made presentations around the world about Pasteur's chemistry work. I am sorry I cannot be with you today in person. Je remercie la Fondation de la Maison de la Chimie à Paris et le Science History Institute à Philadelphie pour m'honorer avec ce prix Franklin-Lavoisier qui reconnaît les contributions à notre patrimoine chimique et les rapports entre les communautés chimiques des États-Unis et la France. C'est humiliant que de recevoir ce prix qui porte les noms illustres de Benjamin Franklin et Antoine Lavoisier. Je suis profondément redevable au professeur Jeffrey Seaman pour m'avoir nominé pour ce prix. Je voudrais également remercier le professeur émérite Henri Cagon, le professeur Pedro Cintas et feu professeur émérite Kurt Mislow pour leur soutien à ma nomination. Je tiens également à remercier chaleureusement le jury de comité de sélection. Je voudrais maintenant parler du Français Louis Pasteur, l'un des plus grands scientifiques de tous les temps. Pasteur est reconnu partout dans le monde comme le biologiste qui avait créé le vaccin contre la rage et pour d'autres contributions très importantes à la médecine. Les découvertes de Pasteur en microbiologie et maladies infectieuses ont été d'une grande utilité pour un large éventail de domaines, y compris la santé humaine, la médecine vétérinaire et l'agriculture. Il est moins connu cependant que Pasteur avait en fait une formation de chimiste et a fait l'une des plus grandes, les plus importantes découvertes en chimie, celle de la chiralité moléculaire. Pendant ma carrière, j'avais focalisé sur la recherche de Pasteur en tant que chimiste. Ma capacité de lire son œuvre en français était essentielle parce que peu de ses publications chimiques ont été traduites en anglais. J'ai publié beaucoup d'articles sur Pasteur chimiste dans des revues scientifiques aux États-Unis, en France et d'autres pays. J'ai aussi fait des conférences dans beaucoup de pays du monde sur l'œuvre chimique de Pasteur. Je regrette ne pouvoir pas vous rejoindre en personne aujourd'hui. Je vais maintenant aborder la découverte par Pasteur de la chiralité moléculaire. I will now address Pasteur's discovery of molecular chirality. I hope you will enjoy the presentation. Louis Pasteur's discovery of molecular chirality. This is a photograph of Louis Pasteur in 1889, made by the eminent French photographer Nadar, whose real name was Gaspard Félix Tournachon. Pasteur's university education. In 1843, Pasteur enrolled at the École Normale Supérieure in Paris, placing fourth in the entrance competition of his second try. In 1845, he earned an undergraduate degree in science, and in 1846, he obtained a high school and university teaching license. This is an image of Pasteur in 1846 in a drawing by Charles Lebail after the daguerreotype. In 1847, Pasteur was awarded the Doctor of Science degree, for which he had submitted two dissertations, one in chemistry entitled Investigations on the Saturation Capacity of Arsenious Acid, a study of potassium, sodium, and ammonium arsenite, and one in physics entitled 1. Study of the phenomena relating to the rotatory polarization of liquids. 2. Application of rotatory polarization of liquids to the solution of diverse questions of chemistry. Pasteur considered himself a chemist. In 1848, he made a major discovery, that of molecular handedness. It is a phenomenon of fundamental importance in chemistry and biology. Handedness is chirality, after the Greek word chir, i.e. the hand. A chiral object and its mirror image are not superposable on each other. Pasteur's discovery of molecular chirality was the result of his recognition of the chirality of the crystals of sodium ammonium tartrate. This image shows the crystals of sodium ammonium tartrate. My proposal is that a relevant factor in Pasteur's discovery of molecular chirality was his artistic talents. It is a little appreciated fact that Pasteur had great artistic talents. As a teenager, he wanted a career as an artist. He worked in pastel, charcoal, pencil, and lithography. Between the ages of 13 and 19, Pasteur created about 40 images, mostly portraits of friends, family members, and town notables. A few examples follow. Pasteur's mother in pastel, 1836. Pasteur's father, also in pastel, 1842. L'Arboisienne, woman from Arbois, in charcoal. As you can see here, Pasteur was an excellent artist and paid remarkable attention to detail. Altem Vercel, a friend of Pasteur's, in an 1840 pastel. Pasteur was dissuaded by his father from a career in the arts, so he abandoned work as an artist in 1842 when he was 19 years old. Later, as a scientist, he drew images for figures in his published scientific articles, such as this drawing by Pasteur, which we saw earlier. Though Pasteur stopped being an artist and became a chemist, throughout the rest of his life, he maintained strong connections to the arts. Pasteur had conservative taste in art. His artistic side has been ignored by most of his biographers. Some of Pasteur's connections to the arts are the following. In 1863, Pasteur was appointed professor of geology, physics, and chemistry applied to the fine arts at the School of Fine Arts in Paris. He held that position until 1867. Pasteur taught the science of painting and pigments and the chemistry of preservation of paintings and so on. He also taught proper heating, lighting, and ventilation conditions for artworks. Art students disliked these lectures on science. Art played a role in Pasteur's science. Pasteur's discovery of handedness in molecules was the result of his recognition of crystal handedness. Several eminent scientists before Pasteur studied the same phenomena as Pasteur, but failed to see the handedness of the crystals. Historians and biographers wonder why it was the young and inexperienced Pasteur who succeeded in recognizing the handedness of crystals while his eminent predecessors had failed to see it. Is there an explanation? Did Pasteur's artistic acuity play a role in his discovery of molecular handedness? The answer, in my view, is most likely yes. In 1841, Pasteur created a lithographic portrait of a friend and classmate, Charles Chapuis. Later, Chapuis became an eminent philosopher and he remained Pasteur's closest friend for the rest of Pasteur's life. Concerning lithography, it is a method of printing where the image is drawn onto the surface of a limestone plate. Here's an example of an artist drawing an image on a limestone plate. The stone is then treated with acid, followed by an oil-based dye, and the dyed image is transferred to paper, producing a final mirror image. Here is an illustration of an effect of the lithographic process. On the left, we have the image on the limestone. On the right, the final print is the mirror image of the original. Pasteur created a lithographic image of Charles Chapuis and added a legend at the bottom. And I quote, "Portrait of my philosophy classmate Charles Chapuis, made in Besançon in 1841, L. Pasteur." Pasteur wrote a letter to his parents on June 14th, 1841, saying, and I quote, "I think I have not previously produced anything as well drawn and having as good a resemblance. All who have seen it find it striking. But I greatly fear one thing, that is, that on the paper the portrait will not be as good as on the stone. This is what always happens in lithography. Therefore, I have been very careful while making it by frequently looking at it in the mirror. It has just as good a resemblance." Clearly, Pasteur, as a lithographic artist, was sensitized to the effects of mirror reversal, non-superposable mirror images, that is, handedness. This likely facilitated his recognition of the handedness of crystals, which in turn led him to the discovery of handedness or chirality in certain molecules. In this case, art informed science. In October 2013, I presented an award in recognition of Pasteur's 1848 discovery of molecular chirality to the Department of Chemistry of the École Normale Supérieure in Paris on behalf of the Division of the History of Chemistry of the American Chemical Society. The event also included my lecture on Pasteur and a theatrical presentation by chemistry students and a French actor, Éric Ruff, member of the Académie Française. I am shown here with Professor Ludovic Julien, head of the chemistry department of the École Normale Supérieure, holding the American Chemical Society award plaque. Here is my published thesis on Pasteur's artistic talent that aided his discovery of molecular chirality. It appeared in the journal Nature Chemistry in 2017. My Nature Chemistry article was picked up by the New York Times. Joanna Klein interviewed me for her article in the Science Times section of the New York Times on June 14th, 2017. This shows her article in the New York Times. In closing, it has been a great pleasure to present this lecture on the occasion of the bicentenary of Pasteur's birth. Thank you again for recognizing my work with this great honor of the 2022 Franklin-Lavoisier Prize.